24 vehicle has gone out onto the track, and the COC is staring with those steely eyes down the straight, which means we are almost open for racing once again. Thanks so much to Durban for joining us for the pit walk and meeting all the crew, meeting the riders, and what an incredible race we kicked things off with. The first race of the Super 600s, seeing a win from Durban's own Matty Scholz, and we're going to start building towards the second race of the day, the first race of the Super M's. In qualifying, it was a great return to riding for Chris Leeson, having sat out most of the season so far. He gets back onto one of the Kawasaki's, Pride Bulk Logistics Tasmania M-Tech Racing Kawasaki, and puts it on pole, 0.3 ahead of Bo Levy. And that's a bit of a story for the weekend. Bo Levy running good in the championship on the Klerksdorp Moto KTM. He's second. Darian Kaiser, the first of the Super Sport bikes on the Uncle Andy DNA Motorcycles A&A Dynamics Kawasaki's. He's in third place. We have got a massive grid all the way down to 20th. And then in 20th place, Janine Davies, a rider that is capable of podiuming in this category, but she's had some horrendous problems with her machinery. She's got it dialed in now. It was just one of the sensors that was cutting the bike out. And I'll tell you what, she is going to be on the huge charge. Her lap times should put her in a place where she can run in the top 5. But also, we've got some big hitters. Gillison, Colin Lehman, Teddy Brook, Robin Alford, Rob Breakspear, Kevin Redmond, Reginald Seal. Those guys in the mid-pack, they're going to be hard to get around.
Yeah, Redmond has been cleared as well. Matt, I don't know if you heard me in the break there during the pit walk. Kevin Redmond has been cleared to ride, so hopefully they got that bike sorted out and he'll be back out fighting in amongst that little pack you've just been talking about. Looking at the championship heading into this round, it is Carl Robertson that is at the lead of this championship by a very big margin. Looking at a 46-point lead over Justin Gillinson, and that's pretty interesting because Gillinson runs the 46 bike, so he's got some work to do this weekend. And looking at the way things have gone so far, Gillinson and Robinson down in 4th and 5th place on the grid, only split by 0.4 of a second. An extremely tight battle between those two expected, I'm sure, as we head into the motorcycles making their way out for the very first time. Bo Levy, as you mentioned, is also in the hunt for the championship, but he's down in 3rd place right now with a little bit more work to do than both Gillison has to. And then Janine Davies, our lady rider in this class, has unfortunately not had a great weekend down here in Durban. Found some issues on that BMW. Hasn't even had a full session yet until this morning's warm-up. So literally spent this morning learning the circuit, finding that her bike was starting to work okay, and has to start right at the back. That's a bit of work to do to come from the behind. But of course, remember, she's done that before when she had to swap bikes at the previous round and borrowed Bo Levy's spare KTM RC8.
Yeah, she's really had a torrid year so far, but it's one of her best years as far as her standard of riding goes. So she is a rider who can actually dust off these kind of situations and keep a level head. Remember, she's been in national championship racing for many, many years, and coming into this season, the first year that she's actually stepped onto a big bike, she flirted with the idea last year of stepping onto the big Yamaha, and then this year, there she is. She's about to line herself up there. Watch out for the black and purple, number 79. That's Janine Davies. She's found a package that really fits her.
I like the fact that we just got to see a little bit of hugs and kisses there from Robbie Breakspear. He's come all the way from Port Elizabeth. And the Supersport Gearbox man certainly looking like he just wanted to give Sean Cronin a little bit of thanks for all the hard work they put in. There's Reggie Seal. And yes, Reginald Seal looks like he's taken up, one of the motorcycles, one of the guys is picking up that looks like one of the motorcycles might be leaking some form of fuel. The Monster Girls are in the house and certainly giving the crowd a big thrill for their money, because every single person that walked past that Monster podium, dude, had a photo with those Monster Girls.
Yeah, Facebook is going to blow up tonight.
It's awesome to see. Great work there, ladies, and I know it's a tough one, but you got to just keep it up there. It's all good. That is the KTM team waiting for their rider, Bo Levy, the only twin-cylinder motorcycle out on the circuit this weekend as part of SuperM, because remember, SuperM is made up of twin cylinders, modified superbikes, modified super sports, and both the Superbike and Super Sport standard motorcycles as well. So you can basically ride anything in this SuperM category.
There's Robbie Breakspear, the man who has been picked up in the mid-season break to step onto the Monroe's ZX6. Now, he's normally a ZX10 rider, so getting onto the ZX6, getting picked up by the Monroe Shocks team. So the guys from Adrenaline Powersport getting a good job for him. And there is Big Bo Levy. A great setup on his bike. He's done a lot of development on this machine specifically to get it dialed in for this circuit. It's a hard braking circuit, a hard punch out the corners, and we know that the KTM bangs it out of the corners.
Certainly just hearing in our ears as well, probably the best sounding motorcycle out there as well, particularly down here at sea level, and particularly on an area like we have here at the old Durban airport, where it just, the resonance of that bike just thunders right round over the flat area. So looking forward to Bo Levy fighting at the front end. But of course, Chris Leeson is the man they need to catch, and Chris Leeson riding out of Pride Logistics Tasmania race team this weekend, and helped out by the MTech Racing team to get that bike sorted. Because remember, it's the 199 bike that is on pole position. There we see the man who is also on the front row, Uncle Andy's. A super effort there from Darian Kaiser, first of our 600 riders. And Dazzler certainly looks fired up.
Yeah, and he's been topping the charts as well a lot of the way through practice and qualifying. He hasn't stepped out of the top 3 once. So good to see him running up there. And expect, Greg, as you'll back me up on this one, expect the whole shot to come from that kid. He can get that thing hooked up and fired off the line.
Exactly.
A word to the wise on Chris Leeson, though. Chris Leeson riding a very hopped up Kawasaki. It's going to be super strong. Here's one of the biggest riders out there. We call him Gilly.
Justin Gillison, he's there as well, part of Portable Shade Kawasaki setup. He's the Super M rider for that class, and also looks like he's going to be fired up for this weekend. His teammate there running the Portable Shade mullet by the looks of things too.
Yep, standard option. I think it's rookie rules. The first year you work for Brad, you got to rock the mullet.
So it's lining up now for Super M and things starting to get up. There's the man who leads the championship, Fantech, Uncle Andy's Racing Kawasaki. And Carl Robinson no longer with the moustache, so it makes him a little bit quicker, but we know that he's planning something big for Movember. And there's a little bit of support from one of our Super GP riders, as number 71, Brandon Good, makes his way to give a big high five to the man who leads this championship. So 71 giving 18 a little bit of a high five there, and there he is, the big man himself, Uncle Andy himself. Big thumbs up for him, big thumbs up from Carl. We're looking forward to seeing him go to the front.
Yeah, Robinson's going to be relishing the challenge this time around because he's kind of had it all his own way. Yes, he's been challenged every now and again, but certainly at the coastal region, the last round 2 months ago at East London, it was all about him just running away. This is Poleman. Here we go, 199, normally 99. Chris Tasmania Leeson, he's got a lot of experience behind those eyes, and he is going to be rocking and rolling. He is able, on paper, certainly he didn't show it in qualifying, but on paper he's able to run a clear second faster than anyone else.
Just remember, Matt, as well, we had to take into account that he was supposed to ride with his teammate in this team.
True that.
Sheridan Marias picking up a deal to run in the Endurance Series overseas for the Yamaha team, and unfortunately he wasn't able to make it down here, but that didn't leave any option other than for Chris Leeson to put that Pride Logistics, Tasmania, MCSA, MTech Racing, Kawasaki on the front. And look at that, hey. Check those eyes, bud. He has not lost the racer's edge. Come on, Chris, give us a smile, buddy.
7 months out of the seat, but he still fits into his leathers, which means he can still go racing.
And listen, the last time he went racing actually wasn't on 2 wheels. He was in 4 wheels. He was driving a Shelby.
So 20 riders lining themselves up there, getting themselves ready for their first bit of action. And look at the flags as well, Greg. The flags have dropped down. We've got a slightly decreased breeze. Certainly these guys shouldn't be getting beaten up as bad as they were in the Super 600s.
Now here we go, and final bits and pieces being sorted out now, as you can see. Starting to take off all the tire warmers. There's Teddy Brook. Teddy Brook, our oldest rider here this weekend, and currently sitting in 5th place in the championship. So he certainly has what it takes. That Kawasaki of his, the Brook Refrigeration Kawasaki, has also got an awesome turn of pace. And usually in this kind of format, and of course in this company, he has the ability to run at the front end.
Age ain't nothing but a thing. We've also got Matty Statler joining the crew. We've got a lot of new riders lining up for this time around. Johnny Kricker rolls out on the big Kawasaki, still trying to find his setup there. Marius Kukumur, Chris Landsman, Matty Statler, Hashim Amra as well, one of the big BMWs there. Steven Schnittker, so let me get that right before I put my mouth away, and Robin Stanley.
Yeah, good to see a big field of Super M. 20 riders all in all, coming to do some battle now for the first race of Super M. We've got one little warm-up left to do. That's exactly what I'm expecting. I'm hoping to see a carbon copy of what I've just seen now, and if we do see that in the background, problems on the right.
Yeah, straight away, a hand up. It's a very
hand up
rare
on one of the motorcycles there, and it was not any of the lead riders by the looks of things.
It might have been the hooligan.
There's the rider, there's the issue, just trying to pick up a number on it.
It's not the hooligan, because hooligan has come through. He's got a different tailpiece to that, so we'll try and pick up on a number as we go around the track. It's definitely one of the Yamaha R6s, though, so that'll narrow things down.
It's number 76. 76, that means it's going to be Redmond. So Redmond having a really tough outing. going down this morning, and unfortunately he's now on the spare bike probably, and it doesn't look like the spare bike is quite right for him right now. Hopefully he can come back into pit lane and get it sorted out. He'll be able to start from pit lane if they can sort it out, but the Adrenaline Power Sport team and the Supersport Gearbox team, I think, are going to have to climb onto that R6 to get it sorted.
Yeah, he's looking at the gear shifter. He's looking at his left foot and shaking his head, which means either sometimes when the bikes go down, you can actually knock the gear shifter loose, and sometimes, well, I mean, I've kicked a gear shifter off before, so those things do come loose.
Yes, indeedy. So let's have a look and see whether we can get that bike sorted. But more importantly now, 19 motorcycles line up for Super M. Chris Leeson is the man to beat on the Pride Logistics Tasmania Kawasaki. That bike being prepped by none other than Ricky the Guru Marias. He knows exactly what to do when it comes to Kawasaki's and Yamahas. There's no doubt he knows how to set those motorcycles up.
So rolling
but Bo
these
Levy
things
is doing everything right so far to try and catch the lead of that 18 bike just in the right-hand side of the screen of championship leader Carl Robinson.
Yeah, with Bo Levy, he hasn't crashed. He hasn't had any mechanicals. He just is battling to get the wins in the bag, but he's going to be one of those championship runners that just tags points at every single round. So as we start getting the guys lined up at the back of the pack, 15 laps of action, that's what we're looking for.
Behind the 89 bike on the left-hand side, there's Colin Lehman on the 48 bike. Colin Lehman, Isle of Man, Manx GP rider, will also have what it takes to get to the front end. He's always been a favorite down here in Durban since he's outing at Top Gear and racing the Formula One. But here we go. We are now under starters orders, waiting for those lights to go on and off. As soon as they do, we go racing down towards the monster hairpin. And it's a great start of the Monday for Bo Levy, but the lights are back. Look in the background.
Shane Warne.
600 cc's
Shane
coming
Warne.
through. Travis Warne coming from the back end there as well. And Bo Levy hangs on but runs wide. And a couple of riders. Colin Lehman might even get through there and take the whole shot. And no, it's Chris Leeson.
Oh, what a hash, man. A couple of these guys just getting too excited, just busting it in there. And there's the 76 with the gearbox problems. Bo Levy trying to recover here, hot and hard on the brakes up the inside of Kaiser.
Kaiser now hanging on to the back end of that RC8. And at the front end, it's Chris Leeson. Since he took the whole shot, he just dropped the hammer down that straight towards Discover Digital. And he hangs on to the lead now by a comfortable margin. But leads and comfortable margins we haven't spoken about just yet today, because every time somebody hits the lead, something goes wrong.
Exactly that. And interesting to see that Chris Leeson, the first rider to actually hold shot from the inside, which is now actually quite dirty. You know, we've got a lot of wind overnight, and we didn't speak about it really in the early morning build-up, but a ton of wind at the end of play yesterday, and overnight I was sneezing my brains out. That's going to be a little bit dirty. That's why we're seeing some problems.
Yeah, certainly going to get a lot dirtier here during the race day if the wind keeps blowing. But look at how that KTM closed up on Chris Leeson as they came across the line. So Leeson now under pressure from Bo Levy. Darian Kaiser hangs on for dear life as they cross the line behind them. It looks like it's the 18 bike. Yes, the Fantech Uncle Andy's Kawasaki of none other than our championship leader Carl Robinson. He closes in on his teammate, because remember, Darian Kaiser and Carl Robinson out of the same squad there. Uncle Andy's racing. And the 1,000 and the 600 fighting for honors.
One lap in the bag and confirmation. Chris Leeson from a standing start of 111. Not too shabby. But Bo Levy, one of the smoothest buttery riders out there, runs in a two-spot on the 99 KTM, and he is super strong. He is absolutely dialed in down there, and watch his style as well. Very kind of, you know what I mean by this, Donovan Free style. Very lazy, just sits on the bike.
Yes, exactly. Very lazy style, but certainly gets it all done in the interim, because once he gets to the checkered flag, we have seen him take national championship honors in a 600cc, and there are 16 laps to go here. We've completed one. We're about to complete the second one, so let's make that 14 to go. Coming into Woods Wiggle. Kazmania in the house with Kaz Leeson on the MTech and Pride Logistics Kawasaki.
No drama about Chris Leeson's riding as well. He's very comfortable out there. You can see he's riding well within his limits. His qualifying time would have put him in the top 5 if he was able to run with that bike. But you can actually see some of the aftermarket Olin suspension on there that holds him back.
Well, dude, if you look at his best time in qualifying, 107.282, he's just gone quicker and down into the 6s. 106.9 from Chris Leeson. That's the fastest lap so far in the Super M's this weekend, and that is an amazing effort from that man.
Yeah, you know what, I think this is going to make Chris feel very comfortable about coming back into racing, and of course the next round we go to in just 3 weeks is up in Gauteng to Pretoria. 3 weeks time. Swartkops, a track that he's good at. Oh, look at that. He's actually forcing the bike into the drift. He's having fun out there.
Check out Bo. He's looking in the background going, that 89 is coming.
What is it
it's
with
the battle
99?
of the nines at the front by the looks.
What is it with 99 guys looking over their shoulders?
99 and 89. And everybody that I know that's ever run 99 on their bikes, Fabian Foray,
yeah.
if I have to mention anybody by name, looking back usually ends up in tears, boys. So keep it on the front and look at the man in front of you there, Bo.
Well, this is the story here. Look at 4th place, because Carl Robinson, the man that has been dominating this championship so far, is getting beaten up pretty bad. He's dropping off the back wheel.
Yeah, it's awesome to see these guys giving it everything they can. So Leeson is the man at the moment who is leading things out. It's Bo leaving in second and Darian Kaiser in third. They come down into the monster hairpin now, and right away, to get an RC8 with that kind of power wheelie out, you know how hard Bo Levy is pushing.
Yeah, very smooth on the power, but very grunty and punchy at the same time. No, it's going to be hard to actually control that power, but Bo is a big rider as well. He's got a good setup, and he puts a lot of faith in the front end. You won't see him hanging off the bike too much, which means he's doing a ton of inline braking. That's why he's super smooth. Doesn't tend to get too tired. A very completely different style coming out of Kaiser as a smooth, effortless wheelie comes out of the KTM.
Yeah, it's nice to see that Kaiser's still hanging on for. He's not going to let that KTM get away. And you know what? At the end of the day, there's a good possibility. The way that Bo Levy is riding, he closes because of the corner speed of the Kawasaki he's on there, and the 600cc Kawasaki he's on. He's able to carry a little bit more corner speed than the bigger bikes. But I'm looking at the way that the tyres have gone this weekend. I spoke to Wayne Doran in the interim, and he was saying these tyres are working optimally for the circuit. They are not shredding. They are not being eaten up. And the nice thing about that is this bike, and of course the one right behind it, the KTM versus the Kawasaki, even though there's a massive difference in the power output of both these machines, and of course the actual engine derivatives, they are both able to run smooth lines. So tyre wear is not going to be an issue for these two riders.
Yeah, and it's great they actually bring that up, because obviously the firing order and the different kind of setup in the engine coming out of the KTM and the 600. The 600, optimal when it's screaming and revving out and the pistons are trying to climb out of the engine. V-twin just thumps away quite nicely, makes constant power the whole way through the rev range.
Because when you look at Bo compared to Darian, he is a slightly bigger lad, so I think that's another thing we need to take into account. Now we also need to ask ourselves about fitness, because these riders are riding slightly longer than what they have. It's a 16-lap race. We have completed 4. We're about to complete the 5th one, so we're going into the second third of this race.
Well, what I can tell you as far as fitness goes, obviously Darian Kaiser is in my ear the whole time, wanting me to borrow him a downhill bike so he can come play. So the kid's just fired up, wired up, full of energy. Bo Levy dropped 4 kilograms in these last 2 months as well to get himself in good shape, because he knew this might be a hot race.
A little bit further back here, nice little dice in the mid-pack, and of course the 51 bike there. That's Chris Landsberg fighting it out with Matthew Statler. So 2 of the elderly statesmen, when I say Statler,
yeah, I'm with you.
Elderly statesmen, yes indeed. I know that was yours, but I had to get it in at some stage. So Statler and Landsberg having a fight out there. That is down in 16th and 17th place.
See, they're not confident.
They haven't
at the top
closed on Kevin Redmond, who actually got out and has got past them.
Oh, well, you check it out. Maybe you just find that gearbox and figure that thing out. It could have just been tightening something up on the line. That's that simple. But you can see these guys are a little bit nervous. They're not going full crank lean angle.
Oh, he's running the, that's the Barros Aero helmet, if I'm not mistaken, as he comes across the line. And a nice little run there. Just ahead of them, of course, is Marius Kukumur, one of our only Honda riders in the field. And look at this battle. Check this out. That's awesome. That's the hooligan.
The hooligan, and he is a hooligan.
Robin Aldred.
There are more pictures of him up online at the moment than anyone else, because he has got a wild, ragged style. But look at the clusters happening behind. Colin Lehman, that's one of the best passes we've seen of the day. It's the second rider that's actually made it stick. Heading into Durban Double, Colin Lehman moves up.
Into Durban Double, he moves up 1 position, and that makes him up into 9th place, if I'm not mistaken. So Lehman and Aldred fighting for honors for the top 10, the top of the top 10. Just behind them, that is Robbie Breakspear, if I'm not mistaken, and behind Breakspear should be Reginald Seald. That is Reginald Seald. So yes, the 2 bikes, very similar livery on those 2 bikes, and I always have to say that Colin Lehman said, I had them first and Reggie copied me. But you know what, potato, egg and chicken. Wow, Lehman up the inside, runs the hooligan wide, and Robin Aldred nearly coming together with him.
Aldred actually almost set himself up there, and look at this. Here we go, big horsepower. That's one of the older Yamaha R6s versus I think it's a 2-year-old Kawasaki ZX-10.
Yes.
Colin put a lot of prep into that bike. It is one of the best setup bikes out there, I've got to tell you. Clean as a whistle.
Yeah, very, very good. And of course, as I said earlier on, Matt, this is one of the boys who's been overseas and done it all. He had a chance to race down here in Durban before as part of the Top Gear festivities and took on the McLaren Formula 1 at the Top Gear Festival. He then went to the Manx Grand Prix, which of course is happening as we speak on the Isle of Man. He's not there this weekend because he's decided to come and spend some time with SuperM and looking for a SuperM possibility of a title. He sits in 8th place in the championship, and he closes and passes one of the back markers there.
There's one of our PE boys down there,
that might
just
have been
at the
Stanley.
back. All right, so Robbie Breakspear as well. He's building up the pace. That's a nice little battle that we need to catch an eye on. But look what's changed up at the front. A change up for second place confirmed. The ZX6 and Uncle Andy Racing DNA Kawasaki Kaiser goes to the 2 spot.
Good move there from Damian Kaiser. He'll be able to run the corner speed now and show Bo Levy that even though he's got that additional speed on the straights, he's got to try and catch him in the corners. Behind them, of course, is Carl Robinson. Now, Robinson leads this championship. He's only down in 4th place. But I think what Robinson's doing this weekend is what a lot of the championship leaders are starting to look at. You're getting to the closing stage of the season. There's only 3 more rounds after this. Consolidation is what is required.
Consolidation and just managing the risk. I think that's what it's risk management. That's what we're talking about. He's 4th place. Wants to stay away from trouble, wants to stay away from the walls, doesn't want any incidents, and needs to take home some, not all, just some points.
Justin Gillison's got work to do. He's got to get past and make sure that he's ahead of Carl Robinson. And there's actually a nice little battle in the background. You can see them just behind there, the 18 bike and 46, and it's really, really good to see the two of them. But here is the battle for second.
You know who we need to watch out for? I've just actually tagged the back line here. Yeah, we're catching up on Robinson. But watch in the background because Janine Davies is climbing the ladder. By my count, Janine Davies out there on the black and purple BMW up to 12th place and closing on Travis Warren, not too far off him as well.
The nice thing I like about this race, Matt, is we've got a race at the front end for the actual honours on the day. But championship honours is what we're watching right now. 18 versus 46, first and second in the championship overall. 140 points in the bag for Carl Robinson. It's 94 points. So that 46 bike has got to try and make up exactly what the number of his bike is, 46 points.
And on that note as well, to carry on that thought, Teddy Brook, Colin Lehman, Robin Aldred, Breakspear, Seal, they're not really in this championship. And those are the guys separating Janine Davies from climbing onto the back wheel of Gilly, who she is in this championship fight with.
Yes, and of course you've got to take into account that Janine Davies might lose the 10 points now that she is adrift to Teddy Brook. Teddy Brook sitting in 6th place on the road, and right now Janine Dunn in 11th. So there's a good possibility by the end of the day, if she's not able to get through the field
Teddy's
as rapidly in race number 2, Teddy could move up and go into the 5th spot, dropping Janine out of the top 5 for the first time.
I enjoy this battle we're watching out for. Battle of the big kids. Robinson, yeah, he's a big rider, but I tell you, Gillison is absolutely huge. He's about 6'6". Looks like he should be playing rugby, and he's riding a pocket bike out there. No, he's not. It's a Kawasaki ZX-10R.
Well, I kind of mentioned the fact that a certain team from down here lost last night, and I think Justin Gillison would fit straight into that team with no problem at all.
Straight up.
With his size.
It's like a lock, man. He's got that throttle locked, I can tell you.
He's certainly got the target lock on right now, and the target lock is on that 18 machine ahead of him. The Fantech Uncle Andy's Racing ZX-10.
All right, lappers in the foreground, and in the background, race leader Chris Leeson coming into Russell Woodwiggle. And that's another one of our, I think that's Kukumura in the background there.
Yes, it is, yeah.
But we are coming into lappers thick and fast now.
So Kukumura comes in. Yellow flag though, yellow flag coming out of Woodswiggle. So there is an issue there. Is there a bike on the right? I didn't quite see it.
Trying to pick up on that. Yeah,
there it is. It's the hooligan.
It's the hooligan. He's gone down.
Robin Aldred has gone down.
That's
coming out of Hanger. Where the yellow flag was waving.
That is coming out of Hanger at the back of the pack there. So I don't know if we've got all yellows.
We might have 2 situations there. Maybe Robin Aldred is involved at Hanger.
So Aldred was in a battle with Colin Lehman, and he's now lost out to Lehman, Seal, Davies, and Warren. That's all good news for Janine.
Now Janine moving up a little bit higher up there due to the fact that Robin Aldred, the hooligan, didn't get it quite right out of Hanger. Now onto the Hanger straight. Looks like the bike's okay, but I did see yellow flags going into Woods Wiggle. I'm not quite sure what was happening there. Let's have a look and see. This is second place battle now. They've got through on Marius Kukumura's Honda, and still Kaiser hangs on to keep out the KTM on Bo Levy.
So race leaders 1, 2, and 3 lapped all the way up to 14th place out of the 20 rider grid. Nice shot there. Oh, that's what your yellow was, Greg.
Teddy Brook.
Brooksy, he's
like
gone.
Teddy Brook has run wide or possibly put it down.
Commentator's curse once again. We've sent another one into the rough. There's Janine Davies. She's coming through. So Janine is through on Travis Warren as well. I saw that. So that's going to help her move up. Watch out because the score sheets are all going to tickle over and it's going to change up completely at the end of this lap. So Teddy Brook is back up. The hooligan is back up. We are going to change our positions, but at least we haven't lost riders.
Check this battle. Down towards Monster Heppen into camera 2. You can see, well, there's Janine Davies. We picked up on her.
Great
but
pickup.
There's a massive battle towards Monster Heppen. We'll pick up on that now. But look at that. Janine Davies is through and now looking to close in on Lehman.
And Cricker was going with her as well. So great work for Johnny Cricker. All going through on some of the back markers. Hashim Amra, one of the guys on the BMW motor at JNS.
Oh,
and we've got a red flag.
Yeah,
so
Matt.
this is the call. And I think we may have done enough laps. We'll count them back.
We've completed 11. So that, there's the rider down.
Breakspear.
That's Breakspear.
Yeah, that's Sharky on his bum there. Robbie Breakspear on the Monroe Shocks Kawasaki ZX6 Adrenaline Power Sports machine has flicked it.
I can tell you it's probably in the same place as
Jacques
Cameron
there,
Peterson,
so, yeah.
Jacques there. Yes, it is. There it is. Just before you went into Woods Wiggle. I think maybe another touch of those tires, possibly. Hopefully not. It's at Woods Wiggle, same place as Cameron. So there you can see the marshals helping him out there. Robbie Breakspear, by the looks of things, is the man who went down. Yeah, he's dropped right out of it.
Fast reaction by the medics this time around. Very fast. Thanks, guys. Good to see you on the ball there. But where he stopped is exactly like to the inch.
It's almost carbon copy.
The same place of Cameron Peterson. So
hopefully not a similar incident.
Either,
I don't know if we got it, man.
He's either hooked the tire, or he's high-sided himself out there. And his style, you know, he's actually point perfect. He's very smooth rider.
Yes, that's why I'm surprised to see him go down. Of all the riders out there, Robbie Breakspear, very seasoned campaigner, and usually buttery smooth, as you said. So, well, hopefully all okay. But this is the sport of motorcycle racing as we know it. Riders coming back in, and I think they might be calling this one, Matt. We've done 11 laps. That's 11 of 16. It should be, in my calculation, enough to call the race, but I'm not going to make that call until I see it from
Patty Evensky on the line there, talking to a couple of the top riders. He's just calming everyone down. He's going to do some work. Dick Shuttle goes up, and between those two guys, they will confirm whether it's going to be... It has to be a minimum of 3-lap sprint if we have to do it. Otherwise, it's going to be called. So another rider going down, coming through the bus stop there, and these guys are getting a little bit of a beating out there. Story of the race, though, has been the fact that...
in my ears there as well, man. I don't know if you picked up on that. Sorry to jump in, but it looks like they might have called the race. Eugene, if we can have a look at the grid, I think they might be moving the riders off there. I just picked up on radio communication coming through there. I think there's a good possibility that they will pull the bikes off and call this first race as done. Right, confirmation there from Gugu. Thanks, Googs. Googs down in pit lane. I'm sure we maybe get a comment from him at some point during the day too. He's going to be helping us out a little bit later on the live television aspect with SABC3. And remember, all of this stuff is going out live streaming right now, folks. So if you are around, I know that there is a little bit of an issue on the networks at the moment. A couple of friends around the country and, of course, around the world are saying that there's a bit of transmission break. Unfortunately, that's not anything to do with us. There is massive issues with both MTN and Vodacom at the moment and their ability to provide the 3G service. So I know that even cell phones are not making calls or doing SMSs like they should be. So, unfortunately, we're going to have a bit of an issue with that, and hopefully it's all good. But that means we're going to wrap things up here. You can see Darian Kaiser's happy. Chris Leeson is going to win.
He's called it.
Darian Kaiser will have second place, and, of course, Bo Levy in third, doing a great job for his championship.
All right, so the marshal's going to chase the guys off the grid. So confirmation of a race win to Chris Leeson. A good job for him. He got the job done off the line, hammered it away, left the rest of the guys to do their own dice, and that was left up to Darian Kaiser and Bo Levy. So Bo is going to be super happy with this one as well. Third place for him keeps him in the hunt. Janine Davies is going to be the one rider who's a little bit chipped at this because she was climbing the ladder and she could probably see 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 more positions to be made up in those last 3 laps. So we're going to clean up the grid here, and we'll make sure that Robbie Breakspear does actually get taken off to the medic to make sure he's going to be clear. And hopefully he'll be able to race up into the second heat. But unfortunately, a second red flag, and we're clearing the grid before we move forward into the next of our races. Next race scheduled to be will be the grid walk before the first of race ones for the Super GPs. So just checking out the provisional results then coming in at this shortened version of the first heat of the Super M's down here at round number 5 of the Monster Energy Super GP's Champions Trophy. Chris Leeson takes the win, a full clean, almost 11 seconds ahead of Darian Kaiser, who made the past 2 laps before the flag came out and is credited with that second place. Bo Levy gets the 3rd, Justin in 4th, Temba Kamalo in 6th. And then we go Colin Lehman, Reginald Seal. Janine Davies climbed up to 9th place, so that's going to give us some good points. Nicole van Asweken That shouldn't be right there. And 11th place goes to Johnny Kricher. A little bit further down the grid, we go back and pick up on Robin Aldred. So the hooligan did pick himself up and get himself back up into 12th place. Kevin Redmond, who had bike problems on the 76 R6 Yamaha, got 13th place. The big CBR and first of the Hondas, Marius Kukumu on the 41, ahead of Matty Statler and Blaze Baker, Hashim Amra, Stephen Schnittke, Robin Stanley and Robbie Breakspear. A couple of typos there. Doesn't look like Blaze Baker was in that race. We'll have to just confirm some of those numbers as we go through. All right, so Robbie Breakspear getting collected by our medical crew, and ER24 guys will check him out, get him off the circuit, and they will feed the information back to us as soon as they can. I know Greg will be down there trying to figure out a few things and find some more information for us as well. So for now, Greg Maloney will be down there with Gugu Zulu trying to herd the guys down there into the podium positions, and the marshals and medics are starting to clear the track up for us. Great shots, and you can see the wind is still pumping, and looks like we are heading down into the pits to pick up on the boys that are ready to celebrate their victory.
1, 2. There you go. Welcome down to the podium for Super M, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get these guys up on the podium. What an awesome dice at the front end. Unfortunately, they weren't able to catch the 199 here, but we know that Bo Levy's done it all right in terms of the championship. But how awesome is it to have a 600 in the Super M on the podium too? In third place, though, riding for Moto's KTM. Let's get him up here. Big Bo Levy. That means a 600cc has come into second place for the first time, I think, this year. It's great to have a youngster of this caliber getting through into Super M and showing these guys what he's made of. Riding for Uncle Andy's DNA and Pitbull Energy. Let's get him up there, Darian Kaiser. And making a welcome return to the SuperGP Monster Energy Champions Trophy. It is fantastic to have an ex-South African champion back in our midst. He's part of the Pride Logistics Tasmania and MTech Racing Kawasaki team. His teammate overseas is doing well. He's showing us what it's all about here in South Africa. Let's get him up onto the #1 spot there. Big warm welcome, Durban, for Chris Kaz Leeson. Third place going to be handed out by Mrs. Lee Watson to Bo Levy. Lee for Levy, hey? Is that how it's going to work? Unless you got to get on the podium, Stevie, you want to get the chicks, eh? Second place by Mr. Stephen Watson from Gas Sports to Darian Kaiser. And our CEO of Gas Sports, Savia Mandla, going to be handing to Mr. Chris Leeson at the top of the podium. Once again, folks, let's make a big round of applause for your Super M podium race 1. Awesome stuff. Let's hand you back to Matt now while we set things up for our interviews.
Well, congratulations on the fantastic run. Obviously, the championship is the main thing in your focus at this moment in time, considering your other competitors have fallen behind.
Yes, for sure. I'm trying to get up to second place. I thought I'll stick with him and pass him for second place and get some extra points because Chris is just too quick for us, but didn't happen with the red flag, but we'll try the second race again.
Fantastic. Congratulations. And we come to second place, man. You did it on a 600. How difficult was it to actually keep up to the leaders?
Yeah, I know. Chris rode a fantastic race. That thing is so fast in a straight line. And even Bo, yeah, really, really well ridden. I just want to say thanks to my uncle Andrew and Uncle Andy Racing, and also to DNA Motorcycles for all the help, and to my friends and family as well. Thanks, guys, so much.
Fantastic. Chris, obviously you're supposed to have a teammate out here this weekend to help you out, but clearly you don't need any help. How was the conditions out there, as well as the track here in Durban? How do you find the track?
Gugu, I just want to say the event that the guys have put together, I must say well done to you guys and Gas Sports. And yeah, the track's actually not too bad. In the beginning it was a bit bumpy, but we all get used to it. It's the same for everyone. But yeah, it's just I want to say thank you to the team, Ricky, Paul Stewart from Proud Bulk Logistics. Without them, I wouldn't be racing.
Fantastic. Do you think you can make it a double for the day?
I'm going to try, but the guys' pace is picking up quickly.
All the best.
So thanks to Googs and Greg and all the riders down there. Chris Leeson got to be happy with that smile on his face, and looked like he was able to control the race. But he knew that Darian Kaiser and Bo Levy were coming and are coming to get him later on today. As far as our schedule goes, we should be moving forward into the grid walk and get the guys ready for the first of the Super GP races, which is scheduled to be a 30-minuter, and that is going to be starting at 12 o'clock. So let's recap the provisional results then coming out of the first of the Super M events. The win goes to Chris Leeson, and he is looking like he has got a great setup on that Pride Logistics Tasmania M-Tech racing machine. The 199 man then, provisional results, he takes the win ahead of Darian Kaiser, who put in the work all the way through that race to close down on the KTM of Bo Levy and take the victory away from him for that second place battle. Fourth goes to Justin Gillison. Fifth going to Carl Robinson. So Carl Robinson keeps himself into the numbers. Then it was Teddy Brook, Colin Leenham, Reginald Seal. Janine Davies climbed the ladder up into 9th place, and she's the one rider that would have been super unhappy to have to be pulled over. Then it was Travis Warren, the number 21 rider, and Johnny Cricker, who'd ploughed his way through the traffic as well. The hooligan on the R6, Robin Aldred, he made some good work to get himself up there. He won out ahead of Kevin Redmond on the 76th, then Marius Kukuma. Matty Statler was there, and then 16th place rider was Chris Landsman, the number 51 rider, getting himself up there ahead of Hashim Amra, Stephen Schnicker, Robin Stanley, and Robbie Breakspear. We just saw Robbie Breakspear get carted in. I managed to grab him before he went into the office. He says, just a bit sore, checking things out. So we wish Robbie Breakspear the best, and hopefully he can get himself up there. We've got a couple of highlights coming up from the race that unfortunately got closed down and short with another red flag. Off the line, it was all about Chris Leeson getting fired away. A good pull off the line for the KTM and a great pull off the line for Darian Kaiser. The rest of the guys in the background trying to figure things out. There's a whole shot going into turn 1, but coming out of turn 1, Bo Levy dropped all the way back outside the top 4, and he was forced out wide. He had to really climb, and thankfully Darian Kaiser gave him enough room to keep himself in the mix. He paid for that though as well, because the KTM came back and fought hard to take back the second place, only 2 corners into the race. So the KTM was firing hard. Robinson was up there, championship points leader, but he was down in 4th early on and would remain there and have to get slotted into a battle with the other of the big Kawasaki's and the PS Racing Kawasaki of Justin Gillison. All the while, Chris Leeson just stretched himself away and started to drop the hammer. The top 3 were the class of the field, and Robinson was starting to get left behind. It was clear that the Uncle Andy DNA Kawasaki of Kaiser was trying to climb himself up there and get himself back into the zone. All the while, this was going on. A great battle in the mid-pack. It was all about Colin Lehman, Reginald Seal, Robbie Breakspear was in the mix there, and the hooligan. And it was all about Aldred, just trying to hold off the might of the newer bikes. Remember, he's on one of the older R6 Yamahas. This would be one of the battles to watch out for, as Lehman eventually got through and would take himself up into clear air eventually. Breakspear was also building up pace. He was going on the Monroe Shocks Kawasaki ZX6R, trying to get through on the Kawasaki ZX10R of Reginald Seal. In this early part of the race, Aldred was still hanging on, but the Manx man, the 48, Colin Lehman, was just building pace nicely, eventually applying enough pressure to get himself up. Towards the end of the race, though, this battle became a bit of a moot point as we got into the big horsepower straights and Colin Lehman was able to stretch things away. Then Teddy Brook, one of the riders that was climbing the ladder and was closing down on the top 4 riders, he threw it down the road. And then another rider going down, eventually finding out that that was Robbie Breakspear coming out of the chicane towards the end of the lap there. Robbie Breakspear was down, unable to get recovered, and the red flag came out.
Yeah, Matt, just a little bit of heads up on Robbie Breakspear's condition as we see the podium there. Second place, Darian Kaiser on the 600. First place, Chris Leeson on the Pride Logistics Tasmania Kawasaki. And the KTM of Bo Levy. Check how big Bo Levy is. He's on third place and he's the same height as Darian. But yeah, a little heads up on Robbie Breakspear. He is with the ER24 team. They are doing a quick assessment on him. And we should have information on that. And his Power Sport, Adrenaline Power Sport team standing by to see if they're all okay. There you can see work being done on Matthew Scholz's bike in the Portable Shade Kawasaki. But also just some more information. A big thanks to the Adrenaline Passport team for assisting Pirelli, as Pirelli have been doing so much work this weekend that unfortunately their tire machine has broken, and the Adrenaline Passport boys have stepped up and said, well, you can use our one.
All right, so what have we seen so far? We've had 2 wins, but we've seen countless crashes, and that's been the story of the day so far. A lot of injured riders, a lot of crashed bikes, and it's interesting because we haven't seen crashes really happening through practice and qualifying, but come racing and the change of conditions, this was the
biggest
first
one of the day.
That
Wow.
was Cameron Leeson. Cameron
Peterson,
where am I?
yes,
Cameron
the one.
Peterson putting his knee into the tires, getting ripped off the bike, and it bringing out the red flag. In the restart, Shelley up
sideways.
and over.
Yeah, sideways initially and then hitting the brakes hard to try and avoid the other riders. Over the top, a big high side for him. He ran, clammed on the bike, got back on, went back to pit lane, changed helmets, and came back out to race. Then Kershaw. Oh, that one hurt.
And he was running in the 3 spot at the time as well, so it seems to be the curse of the top 3. And Kershaw just flicked himself up and over the Benoni Bomber, going down in flames.
And then some big wheelies from the 2 boys from Natal. Welcome back to Durban and the KwaZulu-Natal Super GP. It's the Monster Energy Super GP Champions Trophy. Round 5 here on the airport, the old Durban airport. And if you are joining us on live streaming, welcome all around the world to Surf City here in South Africa. We've had some unbelievable race action here this weekend, in the words of Mr. Graham Nathan himself. But that's how I have to tell it, because, man, we have just had action upon crash, upon incident, upon anything you've got out there.
It's like a back-to-back episode of Bold and the Beautiful. We've had that much drama, we literally do not know where to start. We've had crashes, incidents, bike breakages, unfortunately a couple of injuries along the way, but mercifully nothing too bad. But it has been crazy racing. We've been setting this up the whole way through the weekend. From session 1, Greg, you and I have been talking about the fact that the times are so tight, it is going to create crazy close racing. It's done that and then some.
Yeah, it certainly has, Matt, and I think we're going to be in for more of the same here this afternoon as we get into part 2 of the day's proceedings. We've already had the 2 Super 600 races wrapped up, and just doing some maths in the break, because unfortunately we didn't get a chance to actually get out there and eat some lunch of some kind of nature. But I can give you a big heads up as to the way the championship has been simply turned on its head here after the racing that we've seen so far today in the Super 600s. It really has been good. Just trying to find the figures for you now.
You're delirious with hunger. I can see what's happening here. Yeah, while we're watching some of the visuals as well, Bo Levy, he's had a rock-solid, consistent day. 3rd place in the first heat. It was all about getting beaten out by the 600 of Darian Kaiser, but he has got some good numbers on the score sheet.
He has. I'm just going to quickly run through the Super 600s for those guys who've been following on live streaming. These are unofficial, of course, points, and to give you a heads up, Stephen Odendahl continues to lead this championship on 211 points. Matthew Scholz now is out to 2nd place and moves ahead of Dean Foss with 166 with his double victory today. Dean Foss then moves to 3rd with 143. Blaze Baker, after 2 podiums today, 2 second steps of the podium, 109 in 4th place, and Anthony Shelley still maintaining his 5th place in the championship with 103.
Well, that's good news. It's just setting up great racing, and of course we've got a short gap. We've had a massive gap because of the shuffling of the rounds. It gave these guys 2 months of testing to go out there and get a tan. And the rest of the guys were out there just trying to figure out how to go fast on a circuit they don't know how to practice for. Some of the guys have got it right, some of the guys have got it wrong, but we're going forward 3 weeks' time to Swartkops, and Carl Robinson is looking to maintain his lead in the championship.
And he has done that, even though he didn't finish up on the 1st step of the podium, or the 2nd, or the 3rd step. He still leads this championship on 151 points. Carl Robinson ahead of Justin Gillinson, who actually beat him out for 4th and 5th place in the first race. He's now down onto 107 points, so a little bit closer to Carl than what we saw in the entry to this round. Then you've got Bo Levy. He, of course, has had a superb weekend so far, looking for more of the same, and another podium. He's in 3rd place, 10 points adrift on Justin Gillinson. So he's closed dramatically. Janine Davies, even though she finished outside, way outside of the top 10, is still in 4th place with 86 points. Teddy Brook now in 5th place with 70.
This may be a spoiler though. Chris Leeson has dominated, and I mean absolutely thrashed the field this weekend. He's coming off a win in heat number 1. He said, yeah, the guys are going to come, but I don't think they're going to be able to match his style as well, because he's been getting faster and faster and more comfortable on his machine the whole way through the weekend. If he keeps winning, he's got a chance to close things down.
Well, I'll give you a little bit of heads up as to how that's going to help him out, because if he stays and wins the second race, okay, Kevin Redmond now sits with 53 points. We've got Colin Lehman, who's just moved ahead of Redmond, and he'll be sitting on 55 points. Chris Leeson would then move into what is 8th place in the championship after 1 round and 2 victories.
Exactly that, and be able to carry on his charge while he takes points away from the other guys and wins the 4 runs. And warm-up has been one of those laps where we've seen a lot of chaos going down. Watch out for the 79 of Janine Davies as well. We do talk about her running down there. Is it still 5th place in points? 4th place in points. So she is desperate to get a move on and score as many points as she can. But at this round in particular, she is getting robbed by a lot of one-trick ponies. A couple of the guys from the coast have come up. This will probably be their only race of the season, because the rest of the time we're heading back up onto the high fault. So she is losing out to a lot of guys out there on the numbers, and she needs to get a move on and at least tag a top 10 finish in this heat.
So as we go into race number 2 now, also just running through a little bit lower down in the stands. As I said, Teddy Brook in 5th place, Lehman in 6th, Redmond in 7th. If Leeson wins the second race, he has to win the second race, he'll move to 8th in the championship, even though he's only done 1 round, right on his tail. Wow, it's going to be great to see Darian Kaiser, if he's able to keep up the same kind of form he had in race number 1, able to move up into 9th place overall in the championship.
Kaiser, if he keeps this kind of form, and knowing what we know about Uncle Andy Racing and all his support, we may be able to see Kaiser at some point later on tickle the idea of riding 1,000. He's tall enough, he's big enough, he's strong enough that he could actually wrestle one of those.
Yeah, I think he's going to be looking at that probably for next season, and I think that's the whole plan of action. It's the way that the progression should happen with riders. You don't want to be throwing them out there too quickly and getting them to machinery that might just be a little bit out of their hands. Not that Darian Kaiser can't handle 1,000, because we've seen him on 1,000cc in the endurance series. So in the Odin endurance series, he was on 1,000cc and partnered up with Kinsella to go and win that first race at the 4-hour.
Exactly. The kid's got skills. He's actually one of the most underrated riders in the country, kind of lost in the SuperM Championship, but he could run top 3s in the Super 600s as well on his day.
I have no doubt on that one. So now as they line up, getting ready for race number 2 of SuperM, the mixed category here at SuperGP KwaZulu-Natal. Teddy Brook with a little bit of a wheelie up the line. The hooligan gets a wheelie as well. That's Robin Aldred. And eventually down into turn 1. Bo Levy looks like he might have got the whole shot. Around the outside comes Carl Robinson, the champion.
And just runs wide. There's no berm out there. Chris Leeson just got a little bit boxed out. Normally a great starter. Well, when he's not great, unfortunately, he does get beat up off the start line. But he's going to be able to slot himself through into a solid 3rd place. And will just slowly and steadily work away at these guys. Bo Levy, he will be enjoying the clear air, and the big KTM is going to be firing hard. Moto Klerksdorp, KTM rider, loves it in the front.
He certainly does, and I think he's going to be looking forward to relishing the challenge that comes from behind. He wasn't able to beat out in the first race, of course, Darian Kaiser. And Kaiser just sneaking through there right in the closing stages. But remember, it's 15 laps of action headed our way as they come out of Durban Double and into the Pirelli bus stop.
For you guys at home, if you're watching on social media or if you want to tag on and find out what's going on, it's www.supergp.co.za or at SA_SuperGP. That's the Twitter handle. On Facebook, it's Super-GP Champions Trophy. And on WeChat, it's SuperGP, small case, SA.
Down into Monster Hairpin. Closing up is Darian Kaiser, the Uncle Andy's Pitbull Energy Machine, closing and looking for a way past the big KTM. Not going to do it just yet, but remember, watch for the corner speed of the 600. It's certainly going to be a lot more right at oh, and a back on 5 seconds. No, it's not. It's 166. It's Reginald Seal.
Oh, sorry about that. The 199, 166 throw me there.
Yeah, he broke the seal there for
that's
sure.
Guaranteed red flag coming out. Red flag will be coming out. And Reginald Seal limps away. Red flag confirmation coming out. All riders will line up back on the grid as we've got a bike burning itself out down there. Everyone is going to get onto it, and we are going to get the flames doused. We'll have to try and pick up on what happened in that action.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff. It's been hot action so far all weekend, and it just got hotter. Wow, bike on fire at Monster Energy hairpin, and well, as you can see, Kalami and Mzansi Marshall's helping us out there. Great to see them there. And yeah, the fire tender even being sent down there to assist. Reggie Seal, though, all good by the looks of things. He's just waiting by the wayside, getting away from that motorcycle that just absolutely lit up the tarmac at the bottom end.
Okay. All right, we don't have shots of that, but we are going to have a restart and expect to see a guaranteed shortened race this time around, because we are on a limit as far as timing goes. So we will look at shortening this race. All right, so all riders coming in, they're going to be on their paddock stands, getting the little rubber warmers, the tire warmers back on, and everyone is just going to breathe a sigh. A couple of the guys will be looking at each other saying, did you see that? Yeah, I saw that. No, I hit that. Oh, sorry about that.
Yes, indeed. I'm telling you now, that's not the way you want to be handling things on a motorcycle when it all lights up. Now, of course, you got to take into account that after they've done the repair work and got that bike out, they've also got to have to clean up. So there's a good possibility, I don't want to say it out too loud just yet, Matt, but there is a very good possibility that we may have to call this one and bring it out a little bit later on in the day, due to the fact that we are going to be crossing live to SABC at 3 o'clock.
Oh, this is going to be a minimum 5-minute cleanup, so hopefully we can get some pump the tunes up, and stay with us while we do a little bit of cleanup. But let's get some tunes going, and we'll keep you reported and up to date as we go along.
So motorcycles being brought back to right, so it looks like we are going to be heading into race 2 of Super M and a restart of race 2 after a motorcycle caught a light down at Monster Hairpin Energy Hairpin, I beg your pardon. Lots of fuel and stuff on there too, which I think we need a quick cleanup. But it doesn't look like we're going to be calling those motorcycles off the pit. We do have to go live to SABC 3, and of course that is one of the biggest concerns we have here. See how they get that sorted out. Kalami Marshals and Mnanzi Marshals will be working frantically to get that ready to go. And until then, as you can see, we just give you all the visuals of what's happening out there, just to make sure that everything is good to go for that Monster Hairpin. We've already seen at least 5 or 6, several incidents down there as well, and a couple of riders running wide. So now this is going to throw a whole nother ball game in there. And hopefully, as I said, we have got the best marshals in the country working on it, so they're definitely going to have to give us a call as to whether or not it's good to go. It should be by the time they've got onto it and get it all sorted out. Let's quickly go run through the championship for you as well. Remember, as coming into this round, it was Carl Robinson that led, but of course now after race 1, Carl Robinson still leads. His lead has diminished ever so slightly, as Justin Gillison was able to beat him in race number 1 and claw back 3 points. So Gillison down in second place now on 107 points. It's Bo Levy who is in third place on 97 points, 10 points adrift on Gillison, and probably will get closer to him now if he's able to get up onto the podium yet again on the KTM. So that's the third place battle, second and third between Gillison and Bo Levy. Fortunately, Janine Davies didn't have a great outing in the first one, but she still managed to hang on and keep fourth place from Teddy Brook. Teddy Brook now only 16 points adrift. So if he has a good outing in this second race, there's a good possibility he may move up and close the gap between himself and Janine. Colin Lehman, our Isle of Man Manx Grand Prix rider, a super effort from him. He has now moved up into the top 6 and is only 1 point ahead of Kevin Redmond. And Redmond looked like he'd be a rider who's going to be in some serious problems. Confirmation, though, coming from our officials and also posing on to our television crew. An 8-lap race has been declared for the second start. So we're down to 8 laps for this one. Bit of a sprint race, and of course that's due to the fact that we have got to go to the SABC at 3 o'clock. Kevin Redmond, as I said, in 7th place. Chris Leeson has already taken 1 victory here today. If he takes another victory, he will move himself directly into 8th place in this championship. And that'll put him onto 50 points with a double victory here on the day. And right behind, 3 points behind Kevin Redmond. Darian Kaiser, who had a fantastic effort in the first race. If he goes and puts it back onto the podium again, good possibility that he may move into 7th or 8th place and move up with Chris Leeson into that bracket. Justin Gillison looks like he's good to go. Look at that. Happy man as always. Big JG. Yeah, indeed. We know all about that one, Justin. But you're in 2nd place. You've got some work to do. Are you going to close down that gap to Carl Robinson?
Yeah, one of the great riders. A lot of lap times around the circuits. We first saw him in the Kawasaki ZX-10R Masters Cup. He's jumped around a little bit. He finds himself a full national championship competitor, putting in with Portable Shade Anastas Racing. And he has been a good find and a real good pickup as a championship hopeful.
There he is, the Isle of Man Manx Grand Prix man, Colin Lehman. Wow, look at that. You don't get to see him that often. He has spent some time down here, as I said, in Durban, fighting with Formula One cars normally at the Top Gear Festival, but then, of course, headed across to the Manx Grand Prix. That's actually happening as we speak. So I'm sure he's in 2 minds of where he'd like to be. He loves the Isle of Man. He is going to be going back there with Alan John Fenter, hopefully next year, as part of a South African contingent. And we're looking forward to announcing that in the very near future. But Colin Lehman certainly knows what it takes. And you can see, look at the way he's done that AGV helmet, bro. Little sneaky devil, hey?
Yeah.
Added in a little bit of extra yellow to make the 46 a 48. Well done, Cole.
Yeah, amazing what you can do with a felt tip pen nowadays.
It's a highlighter, bro. It's all highlighters. I think he's got a bit of highlights in his hair
I'm
as
English,
well.
it's called a felt tip pen.
I've got to tell you something, though. The little lady that's standing next to him there, his wife, and let me tell you something, when you speak about lady riders, Jen has certainly got a magnificent turn of pace, and sitting here on the weekend has already shown interest. And Lee Watson, if you're listening to this, I think you need to get on the Colin Lehman and make sure that Jen is at the next round at Swartkops, because she certainly goes well there and will definitely add a little bit of real sexiness to the Super M category. Not that we don't have to worry about sexiness, because we do have that lady, Janine Davies.
Yeah, Janine is on the fly. She's going to have to climb up the ladder. She did a real good run, but she wants to get herself up into the top 10. When they red flagged that first race, she was chipped because she was climbing the ladder. She wants a top 10. Really, she wants a top 5, but she's got a lot of traffic to get through today.
Also, just while we're going through the grid, just to have to give an announcement out there as well, and apologize for the live streaming point of view, but we are also looking after the public announcing here too. Super GP riders, you need to be good to go as soon as this race finishes. We are going to be on an extremely tight part of this race. Super GP, please be good to go as soon as we come out of the podium ceremony of Super M. 76 is Redmond. No, I beg your pardon. It's he's looking really good there, Kevin Redmond, as he comes into play. And look at that, moving into 7th place in the championship and only 1 point off Colin Lehman.
Yeah, he was chipped. He had to do a lot of bike repairs today, and he's been climbing the ladder as well, stuck at the back of the pack, but charging on through. A short sprint race, which means you guys cannot make any more mistakes. It's last chance saloon time. This is pretty much a sprinter, just a flat-out
It's like a 100-meter sprint.
Super Bowl. It's a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's like a 100-meter sprint. If you make a mistake, you're out of here. That's literally it. 21 is, of course, Travis Nordier. He's come all the way from East London. He's number 21. He's got 21 points coming into this round. And if you look at the way he finished up in race number 1, Travis Warren finished up in 10th place, which, of course, is then going to give him another 6 points to add on to that. And goes to the magical number, Travis, of number 27. 27 points in the championship. That's a good number to have, buddy. So Travis Warren still maintaining his chances here in Super M, and definitely going to have a shot at a podium at some point as well on his Honda.
Just a call again as we're about to start racing. Super GP riders, you need to be at the end of pit lane at 10-2. End of pit lane at 10-3. You need to be ready to rock and roll after this race, and we are on a tight one. So all GP riders, you need to be at 10-3 at the end of the pits. We're about to go green on this race. Interesting to see what the shots look like coming out of our cameras into turn number 1. Certainly, if you're on the outside line, you're going to have to go around or cut back in. Everyone having a long, hard look. It looks like it's mostly off the racing line, so it obviously was a tuck and the bike rolled over to the outside. So everyone's going to see that, everyone's going to be aware of it, and they're going to try their best to stay away from it.
Well, you say it's on the outside of the racing line, yes indeed. But everything that's happened on every single race start here today hasn't happened at the racing line. It's either been off it, on the inside of it, or on the outside of it. And that's exactly where that burnt mark is. So,
it's
yeah,
very
good luck,
rare,
guys.
very rare that we come across a corner that is as slow as this one in National Superbike. Certainly none of our current existing circuits have a corner this slow.
Or a hairpin, that's for sure. So it's nice to have a completely different corner thrown in. Monster Energy hairpin. Turn 1 here at the Durban Airport circuit. So, we're going into race start 2 here, Matt.
Confirmation on the time
race
sheets that we are going into an 8-lapper. Oof. Woo. It's going to be tight. Can't stop looking at my watch.
Yes, exactly. I just keep looking at myself going, I'm so glad I don't have to keep an eye on that one. 8-lap race. Rider's going to be down there by 10 to 3.
All right, so even in 8 laps, we are going to come into lappers. When you look at the time differential, Leeson able to run a 107. Robin Stanley at the back, a 122. So it will take almost 7 laps for them to get onto the back wheels. Between 7 and 6 laps to get onto the back wheel of the slowest rider out there. Everyone good to go? Yeah, thumbs up from all the riders. So we've got a red flag at the front, and we're about to get this thing up and rolling for 8 laps on a sprint. Here we go, 8 laps, sprinter. Remember the whole shot went to the KTM. Watch out for Leeson. Check the hooligan in the middle of the pack here. And Leeson controlling the line up the inside. And everyone trying to find that clean line. Robinson,
Bo Levy down!
Bo clipped the tire. Bo clipped the tire all on his own and sent that thing over the bars. He was so scared of getting forced out that he went too tight on the inside.
Dude, look at the left-hand lever there. There's some damage on the bike. I'm not quite sure if he's going to be able to get that going again. Bo Levy going through the gearbox. Looks like the gearbox is all fine, so no damage there. Can he get going? And the KTM, wow, he came into this round and he was sitting. Oh, this is just not the way things want to go for Bo after getting onto the podium now after race 1.
Yeah, and I know that gearbox well. If you do not find neutral, that thing will not start. Look at him. He's trying to start it in first gear and get it moving on out there. You know what? He's going to move off. No show. He's done.
You know, it looks like a little bit of incident there right at the start, but check this out. Coming through the Pirelli bus stop, it's Chris Leeson, and he has now got an opportunity of taking a double victory here today, as we expected. The rest of the field streaming through here, thick and fast. It is all about Darian Kaiser, then Carl Robinson, then Colin Lehman.
Lehman, good run off the start this time around. Teddy Brook as well, and not too far back to pick up on Janine Davies. And if you look at the numbers that you were just going through, Greg, this changes everything. The KTM is out, the BMW is going to move up.
And there it is, confirmation in the background. Bo Levy pushing the KTM to the sideline. So KTM are out of this one. And the only twin-cylinder motorcycle, unfortunately, not getting it right in race number 2 like he did in race 1. 199, that is the Pride Logistics, Kazmania Kawasaki. And it's all prepped by M-Tech Racing. And Chris Leeson is back in South African Superbike racing once again in full force in Super M.
Wow, oh wow, and watch out, because look who's running in 6th place as well. The hooligan has had a great drop off the line there, and he is going to be in the mix. Remember, he always gets a little bit wild towards the end of the race when fitness comes into play. This is a sprint race. He's going to be good to go for 8 laps.
Loving the fact that this is getting so exciting here, and we've had excitement right from the word go. So more of the same to come here for race 2 of Super M as they come through Pirelli and down into Woods Wiggle. Darian Kaiser has not let Chris Leeson get away too much. There's only 1.3 seconds on the first lap. And now as they complete lap number 2, let's have a look and see if Leeson was able to pull a little bit more over Darian Kaiser. Kaiser comes through 2.1 seconds, so he's lost about half a second there. So it's about half a second every single lap. Kaiser now 1.336. Brilliant stuff there. That was on the first race. It's 2.163 now as they go into second place battle. Carl Robinson, he sits in 3rd place. Looking good so far with Colin Lehman on his tail. And then it's all about Teddy Brook in 5th.
All right, so here we go. We are looking at 6 laps remaining in this race, and Chris Leeson is dominating and decimating the field in equal measure. Darian Kaiser doing a great job as well. You've got to know that that ZX6 is way down on power compared to the highly modified ZX10R. Although I don't think there's much engine modification, it's more suspension modification on this bike that has the, well, almost factory Olin setup. Man, those forks are incredible.
Yeah, he's got a really nice setup there, and of course with Ricky the Guru Marias getting it all sorted out for him, it's certainly going to be a tough bike to beat. Gary Kaiser happy in second place. Carl Robinson is exactly where he needs to be because there is no sign of the 46 bike. I think Justin Gillison got caught up in the incident into turn 1 and might have just had to take evasive action. Hopefully we get a little bit of a replay of that through this race, but it is all about Chris Leeson at the front. Kaiser is second, and a super run there from Carl Robinson to take third place. He is going to maintain his championship lead heading to Swartkops on the 14th of September.
Isn't it amazing, Greg, how many situations have been brought into play because of this hairpin corner, and how many other situations it's created? I'm talking about the riders that have to go around or riders that get collected. It's not just the rider that has the problem or the rider that gets hit. It's all the other riders that have to wobble and drive around, and it just kills their drive.
Exactly that, Matt. Now the head down, hanger straight. I can tell you it's Chris Leeson who is just slowly but surely opening up a commanding lead. I don't think there's going to be any incident. It looks like we've got a little bit of a replay coming up of that first lap incident. Heading down into turn 1. There you can see on the inside it's Bo Levy. He tries to cut in. He gets it actually out of shape.
Yeah.
Trying to avoid Chris Leeson. So he didn't actually clip the tyre. He got it out of shape and got it all wrong.
And that was Gilly wide, confirmation of
Justin Gillison running wide, so we got picked up on that one. But yes, indeed, Bo Levy did that all by himself.
He stood on the back brake. He was stood on the back brake trying to get the thing stopped. Very similar situation that Garrick Flox found himself in, but he wasn't as close. Didn't tag another rider, but did take himself out.
Third place, Carl Robinson, then Colin Lehman coming down there. Teddy Brook, nice run from him too. Teddy Brook, if he goes where he is right now, scores another fifth place position. He's going to start moving up and possibly even go past Janine. Where about is Janine? Chris Leeson with the fastest lap. There's confirmation on lap number 3 and a 106.648. Not quite as quick as what we saw earlier on. He got down into the 5s earlier on, but definitely staying with the action. Look at this, Johnny Cricker closing up on the back end. The battle of the big boys, I'd have to say.
Yeah, he's like a bulldog. He's going to be chewing at the ankles of Justin Gillison, and those guys are going to go at it. Good to see Johnny finding a good back wheel to follow around and constant improvements. One of the riders on the weekend, certainly in this category, but one of the riders on the weekend that has found time every single session. Good on you, Big John.
Yeah, Ultimate Fitness Centre, man. He's, of course, the owner of that place, and they do all the training for Alan John Fenter and a couple of other riders in the National Championship, so certainly knows what it's all about. You'll get a lot of that action on Facebook and see all the training that both myself and Stephen Watson did with him. The boxing training we got into, bud, was like seriously rocky stuff.
I almost started singing the tune there. Eye of the Tiger. We're at the halfway marker of this race, though, and we are ticking off the laps admirably. 3 laps remaining, in fact. 3 laps remaining in this race. Leeson comes through the stripe. Here is the big mover, because this is 4th position. 46 comes charging on through, and that is Big Justin Gillison
to try and find a way.
Aldred, 1 place back. He will do it on this lap, though.
He's slowly closing on Robin Aldred, and I think Aldred, even though he's got the quicker speed through the corners, that ZX10 is going to close him down and find a way past no matter what. Justin Gillison has to get past Robin Aldred here, the hooligan as we like to call him. He's got it all over the side of his motorcycle, so he's riding like a hooligan to stay ahead of second place in this championship, Justin Gillison. And now that Bo Levy's out, it's all up to Gillison to try and score as many points as possible to open up that 10-point margin that he came into this race with.
Well, he has caught up nicely to the back end of Aldred, so he should be able to make mincemeat of him, and, well, that was a move that should have happened. He was just a little bit too far back. He didn't want to just do the whole move on the brakes.
Coming up onto the back markers now. This is our leader, and it's only taken him 6 laps to catch onto the back markers. Last rider he should be coming up on is probably going to be Robin Stanley. Robin Stanley up there on the Yamaha R1. It's not the Big Bang one, I don't think. No, that's not the Big Bang version
one of the old
that.
Screamers, man.
Yes, one of the old Screamers there. Leeson coming up on another rider.
I thought he'd gone offline there.
Schnittke.
I thought he'd gone off circuit.
Schnittke also getting eaten up there, and the 11 bike of Hashim Amra also going to get taken out. So he's gone through 3 riders, and after 6 laps of racing with 1.5 to go as they get onto the hanger straight, Leeson is now lapped up to possibly 13th or even 12th place, Marius Kukamur.
Yeah, he is on the fly, on the charge. His numbers are looking good. His best lap, a 106.6. His previous lap, with all those passes, it was a 107.2. This, unfortunately, will be an even slower lap because he's had to thread the needle a couple of times and really climb on the brakes a lot earlier than he would want to. He's got clear air, and next time across the stripe, which is where we are heading, Chris Leeson is going to take the 1 lap to go board.
Last lap board out for Chris Leeson as he goes across the stripe now. He's just got to keep it all together for another 2.42 kilometers, and it's all done and dusted. So 25 and 25 looks like it's headed his way. which means he's probably going to be moving into that 7th or 8th spot in the championship hunt after 1 round. So that just shows the kind of pace and how quickly he could possibly get into this championship and be a big spoiler.
I'm watching the numbers here. Janine Davies moves into the top 10. That's where I was saying she needed to be. She needs to be a little bit higher, but she's got to catch up to the back wheel of Johnny Crooker, and she is currently sitting around about 5 or 6 seconds off his back wheel. So 9th place may be where she stays, but that's definitely going to help her in her fight for the championship. Justin Gillison and Teddy Brooke, though, will be her thorns in her side.
All right, so coming into the final stages here of a slightly shortened version of our second Super M race, but that's what it's all about. You can see this is the 51 bike coming through there, a little bit further back there. That is Chris Landsberg. He's not going to be lapped by the leader by the looks of things. And it looks like both him and Marius Kukumur and Matthew Statler going to survive this one. But the leader in the background, there you can see him, Chris Leeson, is going to make it 2 out of 2 for the Pride Logistics. Checkered flag comes out, and M-Tech Racing are going to be happy with that, as are Tasmania and the Pride Logistics team.
Double on the day. I hope he saw the flag. It looked like it might have come out just behind his eyesight. 2nd place confirmation, Darian Kaiser, and he is happy with that. 3rd place this time, though, for our championship points leader, who will extend this time around, Carl Robinson. A much better start. He got the monkey off his back, and he got around that downed KTM, which certainly changed up this race completely. But it's a double on the day for Kaz Leeson as we head into our feature race of the day. Heat number 2 of the GP Trophy. Oh man,
right.
that's Lehman.
That's
Lehman's
Colin Lehman down on the last turn. No, can you believe that?
He was sitting.
Oh man,
he was sitting well.
it.
He was sitting definitely on for a top 5 for sure. He was 4th place.
4th place, Colin Lehman's bike goes down in Woods Wiggle, and Lehman looks like he might be a little injured now. I think just the wind knocked out of him there. Celebrations, as always. We expected that from Robin Aldred, the hooligan. But yeah, that's a big pity there for Colin Lehman. He was looking so good for a top 5 finish. Unfortunately went down in Woods Wiggle.
All right, so an incredible race here. Chris Leeson taking the double. A heartbreaking race for Bo Levy, the man that runs up there in the championship. And this is going to reflect extremely badly. Colin Lehman was on for his best finish of the day and of the season with a 4th place. And he has flicked himself off in spectacular fashion at Woods Wiggle. But that is going to wrap up our racing for the 600s, for the Super M's, before we head into our feature race. And great racing it will be, guaranteed to be, because there's going to be some retribution. Celebrations all round. Crowd, public, KZN, stay with us. We're about to go to TV land, but you're here and you're live.
Just race number 1 first.
Greg Maloney is going to be heading over with Gugu Zulu to organize the podiums, and straight from that we're going to go into live TV. We'll step off the air until we go to the podium, and then we'll throw over. Gugu, Greg's on his way.
Well, down at the podium here, and some more celebrations as we get our Super M categories all sorted out. It's going to be a very, very quick podium because we have got a very tight crossing about to happen to SABC 3. So let's get them up there as quickly as we can. In 3rd place and maintaining his lead in this championship for the Fantech Uncle Andy Racing Kawasaki team. Let's get him up there. Let's hear it for Carl Robinson. Sorry to rush you, Carl, but we are very, very tight, buddy, so we got to get you up there as soon as possible. 2nd place, and on the 600cc, let's get him up there as well. Another podium for Darian Kaiser. And a double victory on the day, another Durban double. And it's fantastic to have this man back in motorcycle racing. He has been sadly missed, but he is back with a vengeance. Riding for the Pride Logistics, Tasmania, MCSA, and M-Tech Racing Kawasaki. Kaz himself, Chris Leeson! 3rd place trophy going to be handed out by Mr. Anthony Lata from Gas Sports. That one goes to Carl Robinson and Robinson Jr. Second place by Mr. Stephen Watson from Gas Sports. That goes to Darian Kaiser again. That's 2 out of 2 for him. Awesome stuff. Congratulations, Darian. And Mr. Wayne Riddell from Motorsport South Africa will hand Chris Leeson another first place trophy for Super M here at KwaZulu-Natal SuperGP. So well done, guys. Once again, a big round of applause to all of our Super M riders. We're going to stand by to go straight to interview with our double victor today, Chris Leeson.
Chris, congratulations, a double for the day. Certainly a big party going to happen tonight.
Yeah, maybe in my van on the way home to Joburg, eh? Yeah, thanks for a great event, and the track turned out proper. No, we enjoy the track, and hopefully we come back here next year.
Fantastic, folks. That was Chris Leeson winning, taking a double for the Super 600.